Have you ever looked around and felt that no one, absolutely no one, can see what you see? Have you ever been in a room full of people laughing, toasting, conversing, and yet a profound loneliness rose from the depths of your chest as if you were a stranger on this planet? It's not depression, it's not antisocial behavior, it's not disguised spiritual pride, it's frequency. It's your frequency, the chosen one, and it has risen so much, so silently, over these past months, that most of the souls walking around you simply can't reach you anymore. They see you, they hear you, they even try to get closer, but there's an invisible wall between their vibration and yours. And this wall was built by God Himself. Because what is happening to you now is not by chance, it's not a whim of life, it's not a passing phase. It is the fulfillment of an ancient design woven before the first day of the first month of the first year of your existence. You were sealed with such a high frequency that, within the current vibrational map of humanity, only one soul is capable of accompanying you without suffering, without crumbling, without trying to pull you down. One, not 10, not 100, a single soul. And this is the most painful and beautiful truth you will hear today. Think with me. Reflect on the people who have passed through your life in the last 2 years. Those friendships that seemed eternal and disappeared without explanation. That relationship that seemed solid and disintegrated in a way no one understood. That group you were a part of and where, out of nowhere, you started to feel invisible, as if you were speaking another language. That close relative who today keeps their distance for no apparent reason. You thought it was you. You thought you were paranoid, demanding, arrogant. But listen closely, it wasn't you. It was the frequency. Every pain you went through in silence, every prayer you cried into your pillow, every forgiveness you gave to someone who didn't deserve it, every time you chose silence instead of revenge, made your vibration rise one step. And when it rose, someone in your circle fell. Because two very distant frequencies cannot coexist for long. Either the higher one pulls the lower one up, or the lower one drags the higher one down. And since God will not let His work sink, He began to move the pieces, He began to distance, He began to prune. And that's why you arrived at this message today, because only those who have reached this level recognize the map when they see it. That is why I prepared the powerful digital book for you, the Manual of the Chosen by God to Protect the Family. This digital book is not just for reading. It is a map, and specifically for those going through this high-frequency loneliness, this feeling that no one reaches your vibration anymore. It reveals something that most teachings avoid touching upon. Who are the spiritual forces that work in silence to keep you isolated from the one soul that God has set aside to walk with you? It teaches the rules you were never told about how your vibration interacts with the invisible world, who approaches when you vibrate high, who tries to disguise themselves as a spiritual connection when they actually came to lead you astray from your destined encounter, and how the adversary uses lukewarm relationships, grey friendships, and mediocre connections to make you lower your level to the point where you fit into relationships smaller than the one God prepared. This digital book was created for those who have awakened enough to understand that reality is much deeper than what is taught in common churches, and that your love story is a spiritual matter, not an emotional one. The link is pinned in the first comment at the top, but I need to warn you, this type of content is rarely available for long. What is in these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, and there have already been attempts to silence this knowledge before. Don't wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, chosen one, because you did not arrive at this video by accident. Download now and comment below, "I am the chosen one, and I will download the digital book." This comment is your act of faith. It is your declaration before the invisible realm that you accept to see the game. And now that you have decided to act, listen carefully, because the next layer of this revelation will explain exactly why your frequency became so inaccessible and what God is preparing while you wait in silence. There is an ancient truth that the ancients knew and we have forgotten. When a soul ascends too high in frequency, the universe itself begins to rearrange people around it. It is not punishment, it is not divine abandonment, it is reorganization. It is as if God was saying, "You now vibrate on a level where only those of the same tone can remain. Everything else is noise, and noise kills melody. And here is what no one has told you. The loneliness you feel today is not the end of your story. It is the interval. It is the silence before the encounter. It is the emptiness that needs to be created within you so that the right soul can fit without competition, without excess, without residue from the past. Because when that soul arrives, and it will arrive, there can be no space occupied by old connections that did not accompany you this far. The Creator is literally doing spiritual cleaning in your life, and every person who has moved away, every relationship that has broken, every silence that has settled where there was once noise, all of this is stones being removed from the path so that this soul can reach you without stumbling over anyone you should have already let go of. But there is something deeper, the chosen one. This soul that God has set aside for you is not simply someone compatible. It is not someone who likes the same shows, the same food, the same music. That is personality compatibility, and most people confuse compatibility with destiny. What God has prepared for you is something else. It is a soul that was cut from the same fabric of light as yours, at the same instant of creation, in the same divine breath. You were sent to this dimension at different times, with separate missions, but with a destiny that is only fulfilled when the two parts meet and recognize each other. There is a spiritual mark on both of you, an energetic signature, and when you cross paths, that mark will vibrate in a way that neither of you will be able to ignore, deny, or pretend not to feel. It is not ordinary attraction. It is not passion. It is recognition. It is the moment when two pieces of light that were separated at the beginning of time finally look into each other's eyes and remember. And the reason this encounter has not yet happened, or the reason it happened and you did not notice, or it happened and was sabotaged, or it happened and you believed the lies they planted between you, all of this has an explanation. All of this has a name. All of this is the result of a spiritual game that operates in layers, with invisible pieces, with ancient strategies, with influences that feed on the separation of twin souls on a mission. Yes, there is an invisible army working to ensure that you two never meet. Or if you meet, that you do not recognize each other. Or if you recognize each other, that you do not last. Because on the day you two are together and aligned, an immense spiritual force is activated upon the earth. And there are those who do not want this force to be activated. And that is precisely why the digital book, Manual of the Chosen by God to Protect the Family, is so urgent in your life right now. Because it doesn't speak generically about spirituality. It speaks specifically about this, about how to identify the true soul that God has set aside for you amidst so many false connections planted in your path, about what the real signs of spiritual recognition are, about what spiritual imitations opposing forces use to make you confuse mission connection with diversion traps. This digital book shows who is playing against your spiritual love life, who is sowing doubts at the exact moment the right soul approaches, who is using people around you as pawns to distance you from your predestined encounter. It was made for you, the chosen one, who already feels firsthand what your elevated frequency is causing, but still doesn't have the complete map to understand what to do with it. The link remains pinned to the top of the comments. But I repeat, with all seriousness, this type of material challenges old narratives of spiritual manipulation, and attempts have already been made to take this work offline. If you are seeing this link still available, it is because God has allowed it to reach you at this exact moment. It is not a coincidence. Download now and comment. I am the chosen one, and I will download the digital book. And now with this decision firm in the invisible, prepare your heart, because the next revelation will show you who this soul is, how she approaches, and why you have probably already crossed paths with her without realizing it. There is a pattern that most of the chosen ones don't realize, until someone comes along and points it out by name and surname. You've probably bumped into this soul, not once, not twice, but several times. She passed by. She crossed your path indirectly. She came up in others' conversations. She was mentioned in random contexts. She came in dreams you thought were just dreams, and every time she got closer, something happened. Someone said something that sowed doubt. Some circumstance changed at the last minute. Some old fear of yours surfaced just when you might have taken the step. This is not coincidence. This is adversary operation, because, chosen one, There is a spiritual rule that almost no one understands. Mission souls are always tested before the encounter. And the test begins long before conscious recognition. The invisible plan wants to make sure that when you two are face to face, neither of you will run away out of fear, out of trauma, out of shame of your own brilliance. And here comes the part that hurts. Many of the chosen ones, when they finally found their true soulmate, ran away. Not because they didn't feel it. They ran away because they felt too much. Because the frequency of that soul hit their frequency so hard that it exposed every wound that hadn't been healed yet, every lie they were still telling themselves, every boundary they still didn't have the courage to set. And instead of going through that fire, they ran to the safety of a lukewarm relationship, of an average person, of a comfortable connection that didn't demand growth. And then they spent years trying to understand why they felt dead inside. Don't feel guilty if this story sounds like yours. You didn't have the map. You didn't have anyone to warn you. You didn't have the rules. But now you do. And there's more. The soul that God has set aside to accompany you will not arrive in a perfect package. It won't come with a bow, with a cover letter, with a resume of holiness. It will arrive as God chooses, and often it will come disguised as the improbable. It will come in the person you swore you would never notice. It will come at the moment you thought you had already given up. It will come after such great pain that you thought you would never love again. And when it comes, it will bring with it something you've never felt before. Peace in the midst of the fire, because that is the signature of the right soul. Beside her, even if life is falling apart, even if the world is upside down, even if the spiritual battle is raging, there is a strange, almost inexplicable inner peace. It's not a peace of stagnation, it's a peace of purpose. It's knowing deep in your chest that you are finally in the right place, with the right person, fulfilling the right mission, at the right time. And this kind of peace, chosen one, is impossible to imitate. No opposing force can artificially plant this peace. If you feel this peace next to someone, it's a sign. If you don't feel it, it's also a sign. Now listen carefully, because this is fundamental. The high frequency you carry today is not just a gift, it's also a burden. And that's why many souls that God sent along with chosen ones like you got lost along the way. They were diverted by incompatible relationships. They were numbed by routines that sucked their vibration. They were convinced they had to settle. And today they live a life that is almost right but incomplete, feeling in every part of their body that something is missing. You can be the answer for this soul, but she can also be yours. And the encounter depends on two conditions: that you maintain your high frequency even in loneliness, and that you recognize the sign when it comes, because many have let it pass. Many still will. Don't be one of them. This brings me to the most important point of this video so far. Your current loneliness is not punishment, it's preparation. Each month that passes without the right soul appearing, a spiritual gear is being adjusted. Something is being healed in you who needed healing before the encounter. Something is being adjusted in her too, likely from the other side of the world, or the other side of town, or the other side of the street. You are being refined in parallel. And the encounter only happens when both are ready. If it happened sooner, one would unintentionally destroy the other. God is too merciful to let two of his children meet at the wrong time. He prefers to make you wait rather than see you lose what he himself has prepared. But there is a condition, one that most do not accept. This soul only draws near when you stop forcing, when you stop searching in vain, when you lower the hunting stance and assume the posture of presence, when you stop asking when I will meet someone and start asking who I need to become to receive. Because the right soul doesn't come to complete you, it comes to walk with you. And no one walks beside someone who still lives dependent on the outside to be whole. That is why, the chosen one, God has spent so much time working with you from within. He is making you whole so that, when the encounter happens, it is not a rescue, it is a covenant. And this is precisely where the digital book, Manual of the Chosen by God to Protect the Family, becomes indispensable. Because it doesn't teach you techniques of conquest, nor strategies of seduction, nor empty promises of quick love. It teaches you to be whole in the frequency God has elevated you to. It shows step by step how to shield your vibration from the invisible attacks that try to make you descend in level to fit into lesser relationships. It reveals exactly which entities feed on the loneliness of the chosen ones, what tactics are used to plant doubt in the heart at the very moment the right soul approaches, and how to identify without room for error if the person entering your life is the soul of mission or a diversionary trap disguised as a deep connection. This digital book was made for you who have already understood that your love story is not by chance, it is destiny, and that it needs to be protected as one protects a crown. You will not find this depth in any other material, not because it's arrogant to say so, but because almost no one has had the courage to write these unfiltered truths. The link remains pinned at the top of the comments. And I insist. The material challenges old narratives and has already been the target of censorship attempts. If it is still available to you now, it is divine permission. Take advantage. Download and comment. I am the chosen one, and I will download the digital book. This act seals your commitment to the truth. And now, with your soul armed by this commitment, you are ready for the final blow of revelation that I will tell you next. Because there is something about this soul that God has set aside for you that no one has yet dared to say out loud. Until today, there is a detail about this soul that might be the most important thing you have ever heard in your life, and I will tell you now, directly. This soul that God has set aside to walk with you is not passive. She is also looking for you. She is also feeling what you feel. She also wakes up some mornings with a tight chest, with the feeling that someone is missing, though she doesn't quite know who. She has also distanced herself from many people lately. She is also confused by the intensity of her own internal changes. She has also realized that no one around her can any longer grasp the depth of the matters that truly matter to her. The chosen one, there is someone now, at this very moment you are hearing this message, feeling exactly what you feel, and that person is yours. God does not do half a job. He did not raise your frequency without raising hers in parallel. You are being prepared like two sides of the same coin that have not yet turned to face each other. But the day will come. And when that day comes, listen, everything will change. Not in the way movies tell it, with soundtracks and slow motion. It will change from the inside out. You will feel a strange lightness in your chest. You will feel like you are breathing deeper for the first time in a long time. You will look at this soul and feel like you have always known her, even without remembering anything specific. This is what the ancients called recognition of roots. And when this recognition ignites, you will understand that everything you have lived until this moment was a path. Every pain, every loss, every loneliness, every silence, every prayer made in the dark, everything had a purpose, and the purpose was to bring you to this encounter in a state to honor what God has prepared. But there are signs. There are signs that precede the encounter, and if you learn to read these signs, you will not let this soul pass by. First sign, you start dreaming of someone without a clear face, but who evokes such a strong feeling of familiarity that you wake up with a warm chest. It is not a memory. It is spiritual anticipation. Second sign, synchronicities begin to multiply. Repeated numbers, words that appear in various contexts, seemingly chance encounters with people who utter phrases that seem written for you. Third sign, a new stillness. A strange patience begins to settle within you, effortlessly, as if something inside you already knows that the wait is coming to an end. Fourth sign, you stop feeling the need for superficial connection. Mediocre people simply no longer capture your attention. You stop trying to force connections that do not flow. Fifth sign, you begin to feel an inexplicable gratitude for your own solitude, as if deep down you knew that this solitude was useful, was sacred, was preparation. If you are experiencing some of these signs now, the chosen one, understand, the encounter is near, not distant, near. And this is where most people fail. Because most people, the moment they realize the encounter is coming, panic. Panic of their own brilliance, panic of their own joy, panic of finally deserving what God has prepared. There is something deep within us, the chosen one, that sometimes believes more in pain than in blessing. And when the blessing begins to arrive, this inner something tries to sabotage it. It creates doubt. It creates pretexts. It creates justifications for you to flee. Do not fall for this. The right soul does not come without this final test, and the final test is always the same. You will have to trust God even when the step seems too high. You will have to open your chest even after all the pain you have lived. You will have to say yes to a new life, even without formal guarantees. And it is at this moment, exactly this one, that the chosen one separates from the simulacrum. The chosen one takes the step. The simulacrum returns to the known safety. Now listen to this last layer because it is fundamental. When you meet this soul and the recognition happens, you two will not simply be coming together for themselves. You will be fulfilling a greater mission. There is a spiritual task that can only be done by the two of you together. It could be bringing children into the world with specific awakening marks. It could be generating impactful work that transforms the lives of thousands. It could be building a family that becomes a beacon for other collapsing families. It could simply be being a living example of what is possible when two souls align in God. You were chosen as a pair, the chosen one, and the pair has a mission. That is why the adversary works so hard to prevent this union, because every mission-driven couple that unites is a direct blow to the plan of darkness. Every alliance of purpose that is sealed is a victory for the kingdom of God in the visible realm. And you are part of this if you accept. However, there is one last truth that needs to be spoken, even if it burns. No one can walk towards this alliance carrying the weight of all old wounds. There are things you need to let go of before this meeting. Forgivenesses you need to give. Forgivenesses you need to ask for. Old patterns you need to break. Subtle vices you need to abandon. Limiting beliefs you need to uproot. And most importantly, images of yourself that you need to update. You are no longer who you were. You are who God is forming now. And if you continue to carry the old version of yourself to the meeting, the right soul will knock on your door, and you will not be able to open it. Because the old version of you does not have the key. Only the new version does. Therefore, chosen one, take a deep breath and listen. This phase of solitude is the most sacred moment of your journey. It is now that you are being sculpted in the invisible. It is now that your frequency is being stabilized at the right level. It is now that the final adjustments are being made so that the meeting, when it comes, will be an encounter of eternity, not of a season. Do not waste this phase complaining. Seize every minute to deepen yourself. Pray more. Study more. Walk more. Be silent more. Heal more. Forgive more. And trust greatly. Because on the most unexpected day, in a place you would never imagine, in the way only God knows how to orchestrate, this soul will appear, and you will recognize it. And the world will keep spinning, but within you something will change forever. And it is to prepare you for that day that the digital book, Manual of the Chosen by God to Protect the Family, exists. It brings together, in a single material, everything you need to know to not miss the moment, not confuse the signs, not fall into the traps of the opposing plan, and not sabotage the encounter from within the moment it finally arrives. This digital book delivers to you the complete map of how to recognize the true soul amid so many planted imitations, how to identify the spiritual attempts of diversion that intensify when the encounter approaches, how to shield your frequency from the attacks that increase in strength when the adversary realizes you are about to align with the soul of your mission, how to prepare your material and spiritual life to receive this alliance without sabotaging it from within, how to discern between fleeting passion and recognition of roots, and how to protect this alliance from the attacks that will come later, because yes, they will come. The adversary does not give up in the first round. He returns with doubled strength when he realizes the mission couple has been sealed. And if you are not prepared, if you do not have the knowledge, if you do not have the map, you may lose along the way what God spent years preparing for you. The Chosen One, this digital book, was designed specifically for you. Each chapter was written with pain, with prayer, with discernment, and with the sole objective of spiritually arming those who have come this far, carrying a frequency that no one else can match. The link is pinned to the top of the first comment. It may be taken down at any moment because there are people who do not want this knowledge to circulate. Attempts have been made before, and you, looking at this screen now, are the living proof that God has been taking care of this work. and allowing it to reach those who need it. Do not treat this as an option. Treat it as a summons. Download it now, today, this very minute, and comment below, "I am the chosen one and I will download the digital book." This comment is your yes to everything God has prepared. It is your signature in the unseen. It is the mark that you accept what has been set aside for you. And, the chosen one, listen to this last thing before I say goodbye. You are not alone. You never have been. There is someone now, even if you cannot see them, hearing the same truth, feeling the same thing, being prepared by the same God, to walk with you until the end. And the day you two look into each other's eyes, the entire universe will witness the fulfillment of an ancient promise. Rest. The storm of loneliness is ending. The alliance is about to begin. And you were the chosen one to live this story. Amen.